On this screencast, I'm going to show you how to manipulate Google Docs for Excel so that you can make a graph. There are a few spoofs you have to make because, for instance, in normal Excel, if I just wanted to graph my independent variable, which is the first column, with the average, I would highlight the column, hit the control button, and I would still be able to come over here to the average column, click and highlight, and you notice that does not work in Google Docs for the spreadsheet. So we have to do a little workaround. So I'm going to copy this column. And it doesn't matter where you copy it to, it just has to be somewhere where you can get to it. And I'm going to right click here and I'm going to say copy. I'm going to go next to it. This is the key part. And I'm also going to click paste special here. And the reason I'm going to do that is because we did the average as a function. And so if you tell it a function, it's going to go, I don't know where those cells are anymore. So you're just going to say paste my values only. And there they are. It does not matter if it's different font because now we're just going to make a graph of these two columns here. And this is your make a chart, make a graph button. For this particular graph, because my independent variable does not include numbers, I'm going to make a bar graph. I prefer my bar graphs to actually look vertical, so I'm going to make it this way. And from now on, everything is pretty much the same as what you would see before. So I'm going to click my charts. This is the one I want. Customize is where I get to add all my fancy titles so that you get a good grade for the rubric. This was type of bacteria killer versus zone of inhibition. We do not need the legend because we have just one set of bars. I'm okay with Arial font, but if you want to change it, you can. No need to do stack. I do need to tell it what the label on the x-axis is going to be, and this is bacteria killer. I could even go type of bacteria killer. And for the vertical axis, it is zone of inhibition, and it was measured in millimeters. Since the graph already shows me a 0 for the minimum, I'm going to leave that alone. If you would like to have grid lines put in there, you can, but it's not necessary really, but this is what it would look like if you did. It puts the little mini lines in there so that you don't have to estimate, and I just made them darker so they were easier to see. Okay, so you can see that changes the font color, so I could change that, but that's, sort of silly. And if you don't like blue for your bar, you can make it a different color. If you wanted pink, you could go pink, gray, whatever. Color is not on the rubric. Hit insert, and there is my graph. Now, if you did something that has numbers on the x-axis for your independent variable, then you would not choose a bar graph, you would choose the scatter plot graph. Okay. They call it a line chart, but if you go to charts, scatter is the one you want, and you would choose something like that. Okay, the reason it's giving me this I don't know what to do looking thing is because I didn't highlight anything. But for science, you're typically either going to do a column graph or a scatter graph. Those are the only ones we would do in science. And that's how you do the little workaround to make a graph in Google Docs. The last little bit of advice I would give you is that if you are not using Chrome, this will not work. I don't know what happens in Firefox or Safari. I do know that if you're using Microsoft Explorer and you try to make a graph, you will get about halfway through and your computer will freeze and you will not be happy because it won't save anything. So now I have a title, I have an axis with a label, I have an axis with a label, and I've got my information there. So I am good to go. And that's how you get around all that good stuff.